So, I'm going to go through all the muscles we've learned. Start with the palm sculpting. Looks like this hip's a little higher on this side, so I'll start with this side. Now I'm doing this more for body mechanics because it would take a long time to show every muscle we've done, as you guys know, but basically I'm going to go through and show the body mechanics and the positioning. And of course with the palm sculpting, you're not pressing into the heel of your palm too much. If you find that you are, then you probably want to switch tools to a deeper tool, because the palm is the superficial release technique. You can see I lift my fingers occasionally. And then when you're working with the lower back area, when there's a lot of curvature, you're going to do your best to not bend your wrist too much. So with Carrie here, I'm just switching more to my fingers to sculpt through the curve and to sculpt over the sacrum. And you can see I'm pretty far back. I have a pretty long stance. I'm using a lot of my weight shifting forward into my straight arm and fingers. If I was really close, it would be a lot more chest. So getting back like this gives me a lot more leverage. And I'll show you the different variations. You can turn this into an opposing stretch, like this. Hold there, do a couple different locations, keeping your fingers lined up. So this is the way you'd want to do it. This is the way you wouldn't want to do it. You don't want to do that. Like this. And then because I did the palm sculpt and I switched to fingers in the lower back, I can go back in this section here and I can use my fist to do a little superficial release in the lower back area. And my vector is down towards the table and down towards her feet. So I'm not pushing down too much. It's a combination of both. Straight arm, I keep my scapula back and down, keep my chest lifted, standing on the 3 points of contact with each foot. My pelvis isn't tucked forward or back, it's right there in the middle. Step back and go over the sacrum with the fist, just making sure that it's not digging into the bone with the knuckles too much. And I could take this into a stroke down the glutes and even down the leg if she was undraped and it was what I felt like doing, if I had the time for it. I can also just take the stroke to the greater trochanter. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. And then I like to just do a few nice, just nothing too deep, nothing too hard, but just a nice squeeze down the leg just to bring that release down and out. The skin rolling. First part is you're in a bow stance, you're connecting with the skin, you're pulling the skin back towards you, which softens the skin for your thumbs. You start gathering your thumbs underneath of the skin. You flatten your palms down. You create more of a W with your thumbs and fingers, so more like this. Back. Hooking underneath, forming that wave. Nice low bow stance, chest lifted, shifting forward. And I'm basically just feeding more skin as the roll progresses. And you'll pinch them if you don't feed fast enough, if you don't, not fast enough, but if you don't feed at the right time. So if I just let my thumbs meet my fingers, it's going to pinch. So I have to gather, and I want to try to keep her skin over my thumbs like a wave. So I really try to get underneath the skin, and that's accomplished by really pulling the skin back towards your thumbs. Okay? And my thumbs never break their connection. back gets more tricky. And you want to stay underneath the roll. It can be really easy to start going like this in the lower back. But you want to really get low and get underneath the skin roll. She's tight here, so it's really going slow. Is it okay? Stuck right there. What number? 6 or 7. So I'm at the speed limit. Just had a little release there. Number? So working with fascia is a lot like driving in traffic. You can't drive over the person in front of you. You know, you can drive around sometimes, but you know, a lot of times that's illegal. So we're forced to really stay at the speed limit with the tissue. And if we try to surpass that, if we try to accelerate past that, it creates pain. On the skin rolling, you can also, you don't have to do a long continuous stroke, you can do several little ones. So let's say there's some really stubborn trigger points here in the rhomboids. I can just go back over the same little patch, you know, several different passes, maybe even several different directions. So maybe going with the fibers a few times, going against the fibers a few times. All different directions, even over the spine. So usually a little bit more tricky, but make sure my body stays with the roll. Number. Tight there. So I could use my palm a couple times in that area and then go back with the skin rolling if it's too stuck. And make sure you go all the way over the sacrum. Okay. Up next, I'll show you upper trap. Actually, I'll show you elevator scapula first. So we're using our elbow. Elevator scapula is connecting to our superior angle here of our scapula, right where her flower is right there. So I'll get a light elbow and I'll do some circles and try to feel the ropiness or the stuckness of this muscle. Number? Good 2, okay. I can pick several different vectors to compress. I can angle a little bit towards the spine, and anywhere in between, angling in towards the spine and then angling out towards the sacrum. I'm sorry, the scapula. Number?
4.
My intention here is to drop her shoulder away from her ear. Elevator scapula gets problematic in people's bodies, and it can cause pain when you're rotating your head and neck. So this angle was more that way. If I wanted to traction her shoulder away from her neck a little bit more, my belly button's going to be facing more that way. Number?
4.
Just really mindful that I'm not compressing directly